let's move forward a little bit here. You know, I don't think we need a ton of time to go through the championship weekend stuff, but we got to talk about the Jaguars. We got to talk about these damn Jaguars. So today, the Jaguars decided, let me pull this up here. I'll share this with the screen. And I mean, I found there were so many headlines on this. Jacksonville is to say that this franchise is dysfunctional at this point would be an understatement. Seeing here, Jaguars are blowing it. So the Saints, no one is setting up interviews with Byron Leftwich right now. I think it's because they know Byron Leftwich is set on the Jaguars job. He's already reached out to the Jags and told them he'd like to have the job. They started working on contract details, but seems that there is a snag in the situation. And in this article here from sportsillustrated.com, they go through a little bit of it here. It says the Jaguars' search for Urban Meyer's replacement seems to be turned upside down on itself with each passing day. This continued on Monday with reports of the Jaguars interviewing former Las Vegas Raiders interim head coach and special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia. But an added twist came from fellow team conducting their own head coach search. While no team in the NFL has had the dysfunctional and overall sloppy search for head coaches the Jaguars have had, there have been other openings that have looked at the same candidates the Jaguars have. Such is the case with Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense coordinator Byron Leftwich, whose only options at this point have appeared to be with the Jaguars, staying in Tampa Bay or gaining traction in the New Orleans Saints head coach search. But despite reports nearly a week ago of the Saints putting in a formal request to speak with Leftwich, Jaguars head coach candidate and former quarterback has yet to arrange such an interview with the Saints. This remained the case on Monday with NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reporting the Saints scheduled a number of interviews this week, 4 to be exact. Interviews consist of speaking with Doug Peterson, Brian Flores, Aaron Glenn, and Dennis Allen, but not Leftwich, who there hasn't been much of an update on at all over the last week. So, knowing what we know today and how the Jaguars decided to bring in the former Vegas Raiders interim head coach, I have such a hard time saying Las Vegas Raiders. Knowing what we know today, and knowing what we thought we knew last week, what the hell is going on in Jacksonville? What exactly are they doing? What is the end game? And to add to even insult to injury, they put in a request to interview what's his name, O'Connell from the Rams, their offensive coordinator, and they can't even do that because they didn't do it when they were supposed to, and now they have to wait until after the Super Bowl. Now, this is a team that hasn't had a head coach for over 40 days. Man, what do you guys think about the situation as it's unfolding right now?
So I think like currently in this situation, every day continues to show that the Jaguars are more and more dysfunctional at the business level of the franchise. The latest thing we heard today was that Doug Peterson was going to get a second interview.
Yeah, right? He got a second interview.
So
forgot to add that.
To me, that screams something just like really blatant and really embarrassing that the Jaguars right now are left with. They got caught with their pants down. They can't interview O'Connell out there in LA. So they're tracking back on something that they had no interest in Doug Peterson because they don't have anything else to do. So they might as well bring him back in and see if maybe they can talk him into working with Trent Baalke, because at the end of the day, that's the problem. The Jaguars have a Trent Baalke problem, and until Trent Baalke's gone, there's no success going to be coming from the inside of the Jaguars or on the field. But I think, like I said, literally every time anything breaks, it just shows that the Jaguars are dysfunctional. That's the only word you can truly use. And that's just like currently talking about what's happening right now. Doug Peterson wants roster control. Trent Baalke's not going to give him roster control. Like that's not going to happen. And we know he wants roster control because that's how he fell out in Philly. He didn't get what he wanted power-wise, and it led to a nasty breakup. So for now, like when you look at something like that, I just think it screams the Jaguars are that almost like they would be bored. They would continue to look like they have no idea what's going on even though to us who like,
Yeah.
if you have any kind of information, or even if you're just listening to the information that the big media is given, you can connect the dots. Every time the Jaguars do something, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's a difficult situation right now because the Jaguars, we're now 46 days without a head coach. And we can put this back to 2021. The Jaguars had a generational GM and head coach opening. The GM with all the draft assets that they had, a head coach, they're going to be able to open up with Trevor Lawrence. And right now the expectations for this organization aren't playoffs. It's not Super Bowl. It's just competence. And then what did they do last year when they had this golden opportunity? They hired Urban Meyer and Trent Baalke. Shad Khan had the worst offseason an owner could have had. And then now he was forced into a situation where, people give him credit for firing Urban Meyer. He doesn't deserve credit for that because he had to fire him. He was forced to fire him. I mean, if it wasn't such a PR disaster, he might still be here, which is pretty scary. So,
you would still be here if it wasn't such a PR disaster. So
you get rid of Urban Meyer. Then now you're in a situation where it's like, look, Shad, you swung for the fences, you missed. It's time to get this thing right. And now he's in a situation where he's not wanting to get rid of Trent Baalke. And you can hear from everywhere, whether it be local media, national media, like fans, former players, like scouts, nobody has anything to say about this situation. And now, we're a month and a half later, and the same exact things that even the fans know when it comes to no quality candidate is going to want to deal with Trent Baalke. It's coming and playing into fruition. So now we're in a situation where it's like, Shad, what are you doing? Shad does not want to get rid of this guy. So he is either, incompetent or he doesn't care. And it's probably both. So it's really frustrating because as fans, we want to know what we can do to change things. I mean, we've changed our Twitter avies. We've gone to the games dressed as clowns. We've done it. We've done everything we can. And he's just not responding. And then now we set out, we had like 8 opening interviews. And now 45 days later, we're restarting a search with brand new candidates out there. We're interviewing the Raiders interim GM who weren't even good enough for their own team when they go out and hire Josh McDaniels. When you look at things on this team, I mean, this should be a good opening. But right now we're driving this franchise into the ground. And, as fans in a city where the Jaguars are the only major pro team in the city, we just want to be proud of our team. And I guess right now that's asking too much.
We want to at least not be like completely embarrassed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think it's important to focus on. I think Shad Khan's NFL circle is too small. And that's why you see someone like Trent Baalke having the power he does. The circle in Jacksonville has always been small, but right now it's smaller than it's ever been when it comes to the power at the top. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't remember that the Jaguars had a top 3 candidate search, right? They had Matt Eberflus, who I can say never had a final shot to be the head coach of the Jaguars. He was there as a third option for leverage, and they wanted to look into the Indianapolis Colts organization because it's a division rival. So that's how they sold it. The other 2 were Nate Hackett, who ended up in Denver, and Byron Leftwich, who literally got to the negotiation table, got to a point in the negotiations where Trent Baalke's level of power was questioned. And from that point on, it's all gone crazy. So I think we have to remember, no matter what happens in the search, it's not what the Jaguars wanted to happen, and it's not what they planned to happen. So when you look at the whole process, no matter what happens, even if somehow we get lucky, old friend Eric Stoner always said, if anything good happened to the Jaguars recently, it was on accident. So if this works out, it was on accident. But the whole process,
not wrong.
The whole process has to be understood. It's terrible. No matter what they do now, if they don't hire Byron Leftwich, it's goofed. The optics already look terrible. They can crawl out of a hole. But if they don't hire Byron Leftwich, it just continues to show where we think we are as fans, as an organization. And, UCF was touching on it. It should be a good job. Trevor Lawrence, another first-round pick, even if you don't think the top talent in the draft is that good, it's still the first overall pick. You have a ton of cap room, and you have an owner who's willing to spend, and he's patient, which clearly, like, he's not the smartest guy.
To a fault.
Yeah, you feel me? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's almost like you see someone like Trent Baalke who can get in there and manipulate Shad Khan, because I think it's clearly what's happening. Because if you listen to the sounds, you have Shad Khan who's listening to Trent Baalke, and you have Shad Khan who's not listening to his son, Tony Khan. All you hear about in the media is Tony Khan is looked at as a plus management level official in the NFL. And he's the owner's son. He's got a ton of money. He'll be the owner one day, I assume. You know, he's got a small involvement in the team right now. So when you hear people continually say lately that Tony Khan is a bright spot in the organization, and you hear what people are saying Tony Khan wants the Jaguars to do, and that's hire Byron Leftwich. And then you see what his dad's doing with Trent Baalke. It's just more and more and more. Like, why would you choose not only Trent Baalke over the future and Trent Baalke over Trevor Lawrence? You're choosing him over your son, who's literally looked at now as like an up-and-coming person in the NFL. It just doesn't make any sense. There, nowhere along the connect the dots do you get a final image of a boat in the water. It just looks like a big, mark. And that's where we're at as an organization. We're a big mark.
There's one explanation. He has naked photos of Shad Khan.